Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. If you recently watched my last appearance on Bass Talk Live, the podcast with Matt Pangrak, you probably heard him ask me the question if I could have one plastic bait for the entire upcoming tournament season, what would that bait be? And I struggled on the show and ended up giving him two baits. I said that one here is the Berkeley MaxScent Creature Hog. The other one I mentioned was the Berkeley Pit Boss. And I really felt like I wanted to dive into it, but I struggle with the question because even though I love both these baits, I've got several other baits that I have specific scenarios that I use them in. Meaning, when conditions are right for it, it seems like this color and this bait is one of the best go tos for that time and place. So I want to share it with you. So just because I really like the Pit Boss and the Creature Hog doesn't mean I don't use other plastic baits in certain circumstances. So I want to walk you through these because if you happen to live by a lake or in an area where you run into these same circumstances that I'll describe to you, you really might want to pick up these specific baits in these specific colors because they will make you a better angler. Based on my experience, these are baits that I've really been able to hone in on and figure out a time and a place where they work well. So I'll link the Bass Talk Live video if you want to listen to that too at the end of this video. Really fun, entertaining podcast. We talked about everything from the tools and equipment you should carry in your boat and truck to the best gas stations across the America, as well as answering the question of what's the best plastic bait. So I wanted to do kind of a follow-up video to that to kind of get into these Texas rigged plastic baits that I like to use based on where I'm at. I didn't really have a chance to detail why I chose the baits on the show. So I want to break that down a little bit more here for you guys. And the first one, like I said, the MaxScent, the Berkeley MaxScent Creature Hog was the choice that I made on the show in the black and blue color. Now, this color is the South African Special color, which is probably my second favorite color in the Creature Hog. And it's a color we're starting to see pop up all over the place. A lot of different brands are starting to make a similar color where they have a dark bait, but it's got silver flake included in it. And what that does is it gives you the best of both worlds where you have that dark silhouette, but it still gives off a little bit of flash to mimic a bait fish. And it just is a color that's really catching on. I know down in Florida tournaments are being won on South African Special, and we're seeing it creep up now kind of all over the country, and it's one of my go-tos. But for me, anytime I'm fishing around shad or a shad spawn, the South African Special color is a must, in my opinion, if I'm flipping areas where those shad might be spawning. But the reason I chose the Creature Hog so much has to do with the bait in itself. It's an extremely good gliding bait based on the profile. The main body is wide and flat, and therefore the bait glides better than most other flipping baits. At the same time, the texture is incredibly soft, and therefore it's got a realistic feel and a lot of movement out of the appendages because of how soft the plastic is. So for me, it's one of those baits that I've just had a ton of success on since it came out several years ago. Anytime you're talking about the MaxScent material, if you fish in a place where you have both largemouth and smallmouth, I truly believe that the smallmouth absolutely prefer the MaxScent material, and I don't think it hurts for largemouth either. We always hear about it for smallmouth, but the largemouth eat it every bit as good as well. So from that standpoint, this is my go-to that I reach for in most instances. Now, I will say I fish a lot of grass, and when I'm fishing grass, the only negative with the Creature Hog is because it is so soft, if you're trying to bring it through the grass and the bait's been, you've caught several fish on it, the bait tends to slide down the hook. So at that point, I do like to go with a little tougher material in a Berkeley power bait Pit Boss. This is just a phenomenal all-around great fish catching tool, bestseller on Tackle Warehouse. So it's being used all over the country. But the key that I like about it is just the toughness of the material. So if I'm punching mats, the Creature Hog tends to pull down. I'll still use it in some of those situations, but the tougher material of the power bait baits tends to hold up better. So from that standpoint, I love to go with the Pit Boss, but this is just another proven great bait all around. You kind of get the best of of both a beaver style bait with the body style, but then you also get the appendages, which don't look like they would flap that much, but they flap just like craw flappers. So you get the best of both worlds, a little gliding motion and some good flapping motion. Works great. And it's one of my favorite baits for flipping around grass. And a lot of that just has to do with the profile is very much like a bluegill profile, which is what a lot of the bass are feeding on anytime you're in the grass mats. So these two baits are absolutely my go-to Texas rig flipping baits, which is what I listed off on the show. But I do want to share with you a couple other baits that I've used to win a lot of money, and it's the specific bait in the specific color. So the first one is the Zoom UltraVibe Speed Craw, and it's the green pumpkin with the orange legs or orange claws, as you can see here. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you are fishing any river or dark colored water where there are smallmouth will go crazy for this specific bait. We all know that the UltraVibe Speed Craw smallmouth love as it is, but when you get dark watered living smallmouth, so like up here in Wisconsin, we've got a lot of tannic colored flowages. So you might be fishing lay down trees or stump flats or dragging a Carolina rig over some rock. This is the color you want. Same thing on the Mississippi River or any river situations where you've got some off-colored river water and a bunch of smallmouth that like to live shallow. This is the bait that you want. If you have not been using this guy, you very much should give it a try. And that's not to say largemouth won't eat it, because they absolutely will as well. But there's something to be said for these little orange claw flappers on this UltraVibe profile that the smallmouth, like river and dark colored water, smallmouth living fish love to eat. It's a great one. Another bait, if you happen to go down to Florida, this is one of my favorites. This is the Gambler Why Not in the Gold Rush color. So it's basically like half June bug and half green pumpkin. So it's kind of a split colored bait. This is just one of those baits. This Gold Rush color has been winning Florida tournaments for a long time. I've had great success on every Florida fishery I've fished, which at this point is pretty much any of the major tournament venues. And I got to tell you, like Gambler's got a huge following in Florida, but I swear there's something that they do that really works with Florida strain bass. I don't know if it's the smell. It's got a very garlicky type smell to it. It says enhanced with Gambler bites, so I don't know if that matters, but Florida fish love Gambler baits, and the Why Not is one that has been doing extremely well. It's got a good sleek profile. It's still a round profile, so it comes through mats if you want to use it for punching extremely well, and you still have the flapper legs that you can pull apart, and depending on how you want to use it, you can leave them together. It glides a little better. You pull them apart, you get more flapping motion out of it. But the Gambler Why Not in the Gold Rush color is one that if you're going to Florida, you got to have some. You got to give it a try. The next one is the Sweet Beaver by Reaction Innovations in the Flora Bama color. So it's another split one. On the belly, you've got, it's not a green pumpkin. It's much more, I mean, maybe it's green pumpkin, but it's got orange flake in it that gives it a much lighter appearance. It's almost a dark chartreusey looking color in a weird way, like a muddy chartreuse. And then on the back, you just got a dark color with some silver and blue flake again. So it gives you a really good natural fish look. And I'm going to tell you what, this is one of the best sunfish mimicking baits that I know of. So if I'm going to a fishery where there's a lot of sunfish, a lot of red ear, a lot of bluegill with, good color, pumpkin seeds. I'm not talking about bluegill, but I'm talking about actual, sunfish in terms of the pumpkin seeds, the red ears, the really bright colored fish. This is an extremely good bait at mimicking it. Places like Lake Wachita in Arkansas. There's just any of the lakes where you find a lot of very vibrant colored bluegill, it works extremely well. And I think it's because it does a good job with the dark back, the light belly, and it just matches like pumpkin seed yellow. That's all I can say. It's just a really good bait that I have found over the years to mimic those pumpkin seeds. So if you happen to be on a fishery that's got a pile of pumpkin seed, I've got one lake here in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, that is full of big pumpkin seeds, and that is the color. I can't tell you how many times I'll go there, flip black and blue, flip green pumpkin, I'll catch some fish, and then I put that color on, and it's just like lights out. So if you happen to be on a fishery where you have that, you might want to check those out. So in the comments section, guys, if you have some flipping baits, some Texas rigged flipping baits that you like for specific circumstances and you feel like sharing with the rest of us, please do so by putting a comment and letting us know what bait, what color, on what type of lake that you like to use them in. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, new tip coming out tomorrow.